Hello, my name is Alberto Bucanegra, and I'm the head of the International Federation of the Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies for the Philippines. The Philippines, as you probably know, is one of the most disaster-prone countries in the world, with a wide range of hazards including typhoons, annual monsoon-related flooding, earthquakes, and volcanic eruptions. On average, around 20 tropical typhoons enter the Philippines each year. The World Risk Report 2018 ranks the Philippines 9th in highest disaster exposure and risk. According to 2021 Global Climate Risk Index report, Philippines ranks 4th of countries affected by extreme weather events. Some reports even reveal that 60% of the country's total land area is exposed to multiple hazards. In this sense, climate change is a global problem with local impacts and is already making some hazards such as heat waves, heavy rainfall, and storm surges more frequent and severe. We are witnessing extreme weather events, long-term averages in rainfall, sea level and temperature are shifting as well. When these changes intersect with factors that increase vulnerability and exposure, such as environmental degradation and people living along coastlines, the likelihood of disaster increases. As we can imagine, these risks are set to increase into the future and have the potential to limit the effectiveness of development efforts. Impacts include coastal erosion, food insecurity, increased flooding, enhanced prevalence of diseases, drilling water resources, and loss of biodiversity, including fisheries. Vulnerability to climate change is socially differentiated. The causes of women's and men's vulnerability to climate change are many and varied, as gender intersects with social, cultural, and economic inequalities to create this vulnerability. In many parts of the world, women's unequal access to resources, education, legal protection, decision-making, and power make them more vulnerable to the impacts of climate change. For example, lower levels of education and literacy of some women can limit their ability to access important information and support in order to prepare for disasters or adapt to longer-term climate change. Girls are more likely to be withdrawn from school in times of stress. As climate change may increase women's workloads, girls may be withdrawn from school in order to carry out extra household tasks. A lack of education can further intensify their long-term vulnerability. Cultural stigmas in some places can mean that women are not taught life-saving skills, and these can leave women more vulnerable, as these skill survivals are traditionally only taught to men. More floods due to climate change may mean even higher fatalities of women and girls unless this gender-sensitive vulnerability is addressed. Violence from intimate partners and male family members can escalate during emergencies. This tends to increase as the crisis worsens and men have lost their jobs and status, particularly in communities with traditional gender roles and where family violence is normalized. Limited access to understanding of information and influence of decision-making processes limit the capacity of women to prepare and respond to adverse impacts of climate change. Women and girls are at risk for sexual transmitted diseases and unwanted pregnancies due to sexual assault in times of emergency. Lack of health infrastructure can mean they can't access to adequate medical treatment or reproductive health options. What do we do at the Red Cross? Well, there's a wide variety of actions that we undertake. When planning, we always consider the implications of climate change for various groups in society, including, of course, men and women. We always ensure that women and men's access to and to understanding of early warning information is considered. We also ensure that both women and men are linked to disaster preparedness measures that are associated with these early warnings and response mechanisms. When documenting the humanitarian implications of climate change for reports, we ensure participation and representation of both men or women is there. In addition, we consider the implications of climate change for men and women, and they're both involved in humanitarian diplomacy surrounding climate change to ensure the needs and concerns of both are met. In discussions with agencies responsible for creation and distribution of early warnings, we always consider the different needs and accessibility of men and women in relation to the improvement of weather and climate information communication materials. It is within the spirit of the IFRC Agenda for Renewal and our Strategy 2030 to continue working for gender equality and for a more equitable world. It is our responsibility to do more, to work for a more inclusive society. We need to take action for a more sustainable future for all of us. Our solidarity needs to prevail, and we have to act. We have to act now. Thank you.